Hi, baby.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, good. Good to see your smile.
Nice, nice. Good to see yours. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. Lighting is good too. So, yeah.
Perfect.
So, thank you again for joining me with this recorded conversation that we wanted to share. And I want to do a little introduction for those watching, and then we'll come back to our conversation. Okay. And then, yeah, everybody, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October. And I get enthusiastic talking about healthy relationships as a means to preventing domestic violence. When I used to engage youth around domestic violence awareness and prevention, I used to ask them, what are the signs? What does domestic violence look like? And they used to give me a long list.
Hmm.
But when I asked them about healthy relationships, they got stumped. They were like, and that's very telling that we need more modeling of what healthy relationship looks like. And, you know, it's important to talk about the violence, to name the violence, yes. And we're good at that as a movement, as a community. We're being more good at that. But I think it's just as important to talk about healthy relationships, what we want, what we envision. A world without violence, particularly for communities of color, LGBT, marginalized, historically marginalized communities. So I thank you, baby. And,
Yeah.
if you want to give a quick introduction.
Yeah. I mean, I'm that guy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm that guy, pal. I'm that guy. No, my name is Alfonso Santos IV. A little bit about me is I'm the nephew of my auntie right here, Gabby. Going back as far as I can remember, she's always been keeping me immersed in, the whole sexual and domestic violence coalition and going from conference to conference and kind of being the spokesperson of my generation, at least, kind of giving them a gateway to show them what a healthy relationship looks like and what are healthy key points in a relationship to keep it going. And I think I have a pretty good understanding. Going my 6-year anniversary with my girlfriend was just yesterday, Sunday, October 17th, and 6 years is a long time. So we've been high school sweethearts. So there's a lot of stuff that I've kind of incorporated within, the educations that I've learned, from the panels, going from place to place, talking to different people. I remember speaking with Solomon, was one of my good pals that I remember that I still hold notes till to this day, and Mr. Porter as well, and the whole call to men movement. But yeah, right now I'm in the financial industry, doing a lot of stuff with ACHs, working with First Tech Credit Union, and I'm happy to be here.
And congratulations to you and Ashley. I know
Yeah,
you guys,
thank you.
yeah, you guys work hard at that because the relationship is work, right?
Of course.
It's work. Every relationship has their ups and downs. There's no easy going relationship because life is life. And
It is.
especially for communities of color, we have life stressors such as, family situations that go on, oppression that goes on. It could be financial,
Yeah, exactly.
health issues, societal issues. So, it's just how you work it out. And I want to hear from you in terms of what has worked for you in terms of working it out through conflict, and how do you define a healthy relationship?
Of course, yeah. First and foremost, I'm 22 years old, so I'm not, I'm still really young, so I still have a lot to learn. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends and coworkers are older than me, so I kind of get to step in their shoes once in a while and see, what's to come, or what obligations I just have as I'm getting older. But right off the bat, I think a healthy relationship, and it's said all over everywhere. You can go to Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all the platforms, and the number one thing is communication. It's easier said than done, of course, but I believe communication is that strong point that every relationship needs. I like to think about it in terms of, I'm a big car guy, so I love vehicles and cars. So a relationship is just kind of like that vehicle, and communication, honestly, is the gasoline for the car to keep it going. Once the communication stops within a relationship, I think it's very hard to keep things in a fluid motion and keep things in and center, and a lot of the focus within that relationship is kind of gone without that communication. So the biggest vocal points I could say is communication for sure. Another big thing I would do is just keep the spirit of love alive. Getting older is hard. Honestly, you got bills, you have priorities that you didn't have when you were younger. So at least for me, is what I tend to see is like I get caught up in life a lot, and I forget to just talk to my partner. Sometimes I get so busy in work, I come home and I go to the gym and I just go to sleep, and I forget to check in or forget to do things, or just the basic things that I used to do when I first got into a relationship, back when time wasn't really a thing. But yeah, honestly, I believe the keys to a healthy relationship in my eyes are just communication and making sure that you're just constantly re-falling in love with that person every day.
Yeah, and when I see you guys, I always say you're the power couple, and
Yeah.
power with, not power over, and that's exactly what I mean. Because and you talk about communication. One of the things I've seen you grow in also is a really deep listener. And
Yeah.
I remember, like, in terms of the activism, what you were 5, 6 years old, all the way up to now you've been engaged in several things, but a call to men,
Yeah.
marching and Juneteenth, the Pride
Yeah.
event, and all that. And so,
From the West
not
Coast to the East Coast. Yeah.
exactly, and remember you and Isaiah holding up it was just
Yeah. Beautiful
some really
memory.
good memories, and all of that contributed to how good of a communicator you are too,
Very
and
true.
being able to be inclusive with that.
Mhm.
I've seen
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, through all the experiences, and again, I just want to thank you because the scenarios that you put me in at such a young age, that information that I withdrew and kind of, sponged over the years, I still have to this day. So a lot of the things, like I said, that Solomon said and the whole call to men movement said, I still use to this day. And of course, I have my own little twang with it. You know what I mean? You got to make it work. Every relationship is different. So you got to, get in where you fit in when it comes to making stuff work. Because whatever I use in my relationship to make it work and move well, the next relationship might need something a little different. And that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to be different, and it's okay to use different things. But yeah, the scenarios that I used all the way from Sun River to different colleges that I used to go through for the paneling that I used to answer questions to, all the way to the festivals and everything down in Albany, New York, with all the great people down there that you introduced me with, and
Yeah.
just continue to be a sponge, and then absorb that information that I've gained through the years into my relationship, and helping my friends too, because a lot of them ask me for advice, and I'm like a guru, you can say.
You sure are. And for those of you who don't know about A Call to Men, it's a global organization that works to uplift the voices of women in marginalized communities with allyship from men and young boys, and looking at violence and their role to flip that, to be more preventative. And they have a YouTube, and this is one of the things too that my nephew contributed to some of their YouTube. If you want to look it up, he's there with a message, and then some of their events and panels. So I'm just so proud of you. But you know that.
Yeah, it's a amazing organization with amazing people there, and it's awesome to kind of have a role model in a sense. Seeing other men and seeing what a man is supposed to give in a relationship, being an active listener. A lot of people, at least in my age group, a lot of them have a focus of what a man really is. And in reality, a man is really what you want to be. You know what I mean? You just have to have a good heart. The man doesn't always have to be making the more money or have all the power in the house. I find it that when there's equilibrium in the relationship, everything is far more easier. You know what I mean? It's far more easier having that, balance between who's who, and just a common love and a common respect also is major.
Yeah. And I really like what you said in terms of like every relationship is different in terms of customizing and all that, whether it's like solutions and working stuff out,
Mhm.
or what you vibe with in every relationship. So everything is going to be tailored. The two people are going to co-create that, you know.
Mhm.
That's a partnership where you get to co-create that. And that's an important message, I think, for our youth, because they feel like maybe the media is a prototype of the relationship they're supposed to have, or
Very
their
true.
neighbor or their family that might have been as the healthiest, right?
Mhm.
So
Of
any
course.
feedback on that?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like I said, a call to man is amazing. Shout out to my uncle, Tony Porter, my guy. I haven't seen him in a while, but I hope he's doing good. I know he's holding down everything. And if he's watching this, I still have info that you've given me at the colleges and everything. I still use it in my everyday life. So thank you. Going back to like what you said in terms of all the platforms that, I'm an avid guy on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm real plugged in with all that. And a lot of the things that I see is, at least on like the Explorer page, For You page and stuff like that, there is kind of like a sway in what, a relationship is supposed to be. And, what I see a lot is a guy that, had got all the money, you know what I mean? Got all the money, kind of like just the powerhouse of controlling the woman, you know what I mean? And to me, that's like, it's not really what it's all about, and it's unfortunate that, social media has got that way. And there's the few out there that really can negate through all the false, you know what I mean, falsified statements and stuff like that, all the behind all the pictures, look through that stuff and stay true to you. But, going back to what you're saying, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, Snapchat, it kind of does paint a picture, especially in like the younger generation too, kind of shows these younger kids like, oh man, I need this to get girls, or I need this to be a cool guy, or I need this to be accepted. You know what I mean? And to me, that's just a bunch of malarkey, you know? You just got to be able to again, find just true love and find your inner self. And well, what I like to think too, I read a lot. So either it's a lot of audiobooks or just reading in general, but you just have to be able to fall in love with yourself. Once you find that true love within yourself, then you have all the love in the world to give to somebody else.
Yeah. And that's a huge start and a genuine start, because if you are compassionate to yourself and truly authentic living in your own skin, you make space for your loved ones, including your partner, to be
Of course.
just exactly. That's I always say that safety is everyone's birthright.
Of course.
Living in authenticity, that's your birthright, everyone's birthright. When you feel like you have to be muzzled in your expressions, then that might be a red flag, right?
Very true. Yeah. I mean, like you said, going back on just to piggyback what you said about red flags, is a lot of the time, my generation they have trouble identifying these red flags, because again, going back to the social media platforms, what a red flag might entail is shown totally different in social media platforms. So, you know what I mean? Talking to a girl in like a, downplaying manner, or being rude and disrespectful is sometimes like, oh, well, I need to do that. I need to talk to women that way to be loved, or to be cared for, or to be wanted, you know what I mean? To be popular. And a lot of the time, a lot of people are feeding into that, that falsified energy, and they take on that false persona. And that's where you start seeing a lot of people, that's where you see a lot of the, domestic violence coming in, and they're kind of being someone that they truly aren't, just to be accepted, but they're not going to get accepted, because that's just not the way you treat, a woman or a man in a relationship, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's so many myths out there. And I mean, you've seen the face of myths and stuff.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of how it plays out. And I also want to point out that this happens in all sorts of relationships, teen relationships. There's teen dating violence that happens, and elders as well, and LGBT, people with disabilities.
Yes.
Domestic violence can hit any home, any relationship. So the red
Right.
flags, might look different due to circumstance, right? But in terms of the root problem, it's always going to be an imbalance of power and control,
Yes.
where someone is feeling fear, coerced, not being able to live in authenticity, and an array of stuff. So I'm glad that you're aware of it, and that you said, in terms of your friends and your community, sharing that as well, sharing the red flags is huge.
Yeah. I try just everyday life, just, I kind of have a little saying, like, just dropping jewels, I'm just trying to give information when I can, obviously being respectful. I hate to intrude and kind of tell people what to do, but a lot of the times I see them giving me a text or FaceTiming me, or, shooting me a DM on Insta and say, hey man, I got some trouble going on with my girl, or with my man. Some of my girlfriends tell me about that too. And, I just kind of give them options, like, hey, what's going on? What do you think is triggering this? How do you feel? How do they feel? What's the circumstances in the environment you guys are in? Because when you're in a household where people fight a lot, back and forth, you tend to absorb that same negative energy and, kind of ping pong it back with your partner. And that's where the cycle begins, honestly.
Yeah. And I remember we've had a lot of conversations in terms of your relationship and stuff. But one of the things that I just found so enlightening, and I'm like, you know what? I'm learning from you, as well. I learned from youth in general, because it's just like, these eyes, eager and hungry to be better, and, and not as socially conditioned as an older adult, or, but anyhow, one thing you said is that you and Ashley have something that you do, that you check in like at night. You want to share about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And this is dropping jewels. You know what I mean? This is free information for you guys that I want you guys to take and use in your personal life. And, if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, like I said, there's always little tweaks that you can do, but this is a good place to start. This is a good solid foundation. So what to piggyback off of my auntie said, what we do is every day, every night, kind of towards the ending of our night, going to bed, going to sleep, we do these check-ins, and it's just it's simple, but super, super, super effective. So what we do is we kind of just take time, we have our own time, we go take a shower, go walk the dogs. We do that on our own to kind of have that, that transfer time from work mindset to home mindset, because when you go from work, sometimes you could just have a crappy day at work, you got a lot of papers to do, a lot of emails to send, just very busy. And when you come home and you kind of want to talk to your partner, you're still in that work mindset. So there's a lot of tension and stuff. And that's where a lot of arguments tend to happen. So what we do is when we come back, we kind of just take our time. I play my games. I play 2K, I play GTA for a little bit, or I watch some YouTube, whatever the case may be. She's on TikTok. She's walking the dog. She's working out. I'm working out. But then we come back together, and what we do is we check in. So we ask each other, what is something that I could have done better today? Listen to that. What is something I could have done better today? Because some of the times when we talk to our partners in a demeaning way, or we do something rude, we might not notice it. Life is going so fast, we don't notice it, and when we kind of ask that question, we get to step in our partner's shoes for a little bit and be like, oh, I did do that. Oh, I did talk to you that way. Or, oh yeah, that was kind of snippy or rude. I apologize. So we ask each other, what's something that we can do today? And what's something that we're looking forward tomorrow? And when we answer those questions, we kind of go back into that equilibrium. We kind of go back into the equilibrium, and whatever happened that day, we just kind of find a piece to it, an equilibrium, and just checking in with each other can do so much. Honestly, it can do so much. So that's what we do. We come home from work, we check in with each other, a couple of simple questions like, what's something that I could have done better today? And, what's something that you look forward to tomorrow? And just checking in, asking how was your day? And, I hate to ask, how was your day? Or because it's such a basic question, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
oh, today was good. That's not too much of a enthusiastic response. So what I do say is, what did you do today? So instead of being a good or bad question, you got to actually, you got to actually give some thought into the answer. So I always ask her, like, what did you do today? And she always tells me, what happened, good or bad. And, just being an active listener, actually taking time out of your day. Because honestly, fellas, ladies, it takes a couple seconds just to give an ear and just be wholehearted and just give them a response. Like, I do care. Because sometimes, they're coming from a family or a household that didn't give them an ear, that didn't really care about what they did. And giving them that love and affection and just that active listening can do, worlds of changes.
Yeah. And that's so a value. I mean,
Mhm.
I could see how that would play out and really grow the relationship and allow for opportunity to troubleshoot around anything or learning.
Yeah,
opportunity.
troubleshoot is the perfect word for that, honestly. Yes.
Yeah. And we shouldn't be afraid of confronting problems, and we shouldn't set ourselves up also to think that it's going to be easy, because when we think it's easy, a relationship is easy, then that's when we get disillusioned. And then we start
Yes.
thinking resentment and stuff, when in reality, it's like, well, no, life is hard. Relationships are hard, within the social context of what we live in and the day-to-day stressors. Then it's agreeing to go through it together on equal footing and knowing that it's going to be uncomfortable and tough, but you're going to hang on to each other and really continue doing that deep listening.
Yeah. I mean, life isn't all butterflies and rainbows. You do come across bumps. You do come across things that you really don't know, how the heck am I going to get through this? You know what I mean? But through just that, like you said, troubleshooting and just asking the simple question, what can I do to make tomorrow better? Or, what is something that I could have done better today? Those
Yeah.
simple questions can really just the paradigm shift of the relationship coming back into that equilibrium. Everything's at equilibrium, is amazing.
Right. And I see how far that could go, even like with parenting, like a parent asking a child that, right?
Of course. Of course.
As with any relationship. So thank you for offering that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
With that. So I know we were going to keep this short, right? Not too long, just a conversation. And
Yeah, of course.
you and I continue having conversations. In light of this, I'm like, oh, we say so much rich stuff. And, I hear you say things that I think should shine on all platforms. And thank you for allowing me to record this bit of conversation.
Of course, anytime. Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to help. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can contact me on Instagram, Ayofonso, AYOFONSO. Shoot me a DM or anything, advice, new music to listen to. I love music. But I'm always here. I'm always here to give an ear. And, it's just a blessing that I can, just get on a platform and have the knowledge that I have and just give it to other people that are in need, older or younger than me. So it's just a blessing. I'm thankful.
Well, thank you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. So, I mean, we might do this again in the future, but in the meantime, just know your right is to be safe. That's your birthright. Your right is to live your authentic life and spread the love, please.
Spread the love.
Love you, baby. Thank you.